Righty, here we go. Here we are at Congressman Tiberi's office.
Hello.
Hi, Tim. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Very good. We will sign in. And I'm going to ask Ann to come and tell us what we're doing here.
Hi.
Hello.
A while back, Representative Tiberi called people who have feedback cookie cutters. And so I thought, well, when we look at how the Republican Party is voting in a block and pressuring other Republicans to go along with something, even if that Republican has a reservation, I thought, well, you know, Republicans are cookie cutters as well. So we have made an award for Representative Tiberi. It's the Republican Party Cookie Cutter Award. We're presenting it to Representative Pat Tiberi for supporting the Trump Republican Party agenda 100% of the time without regard for the opinions and preferences of his constituents in the 12th District of Ohio. With focus on tax breaks for the very wealthy and blind support for big business, Representative Tiberi has worked to dismantle the nation's social safety net and to undo protections for consumers, the environment, and our health and safety. Okay, and so on the back, we've each written about one or more issues that we wish Representative Tiberi would either take a stand about or would reconsider his support. And mine says, you supported a health care plan that even Donald Trump is now calling mean. 23 million Americans could lose their coverage, including thousands in Ohio. It's time for you to represent us and not the very rich.
Thank you. Can someone pass that back? And we'll do that over there. Thank you so much. Awesome. Thank you, Ann. Oh, will you make your little...
Oh, I just said, too, people need to be careful when you upset a retired individual who's a scrapbooker because graphics will follow.
That's it.
Okay. My message to Representative Tiberi is that I'm deeply concerned about the irresponsible health care bill that he helped to engineer and that's going to negatively impact millions of people. I'm distressed about your constant reluctance to support our environment. And finally, I'm deeply concerned about your continuing support for an administration that is jeopardizing our democracy.
Thank you. Who's up? I'll go. So you come ahead. Go ahead.
Maybe going against Trump's reversal of important environmental regulations would be a good way to lose your cookie cutter title.
There you go.
And also, I've noticed he has all these awards up here. Do you think if we framed one of these, we could get this put up here?
There we go.
Awards?
I can ask.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Thank you, Tim.
Hi, I'm Katie, in zip code 42214. My message to Representative Tiberi is that I am appalled at Representative Tiberi's silence in the face of the President's obvious contempt for the Constitution, his utter lack of concern about Russian interference in the 2016 elections and the implications of that, beyond, his own role. The President's failure to use State Department diplomats to help guide and inform his foreign policy statements, and his foolish revelation of sensitive security information, such as the undercover work with ISIS by Israeli agents and the location of American submarines in the Pacific Ocean.
Yes.
I'd like to see some, in addition to everything else, that is something I'm particularly appalled at Representative Tiberi's silence about.
Thank you so much. Those are very important things. Who's up?
I'm up here. I've got two of these paragraphs to read. One is from David Bodie, who had to leave here, but I'll read his first. It is, I do not feel that there is enough debate in Congress about the economics of health care reform. Creating choice for people not to have health insurance will only increase the cost of insurance for everyone that has it, since they will have to pick up the cost of providing health care to the uninsured, who will still receive full health care and not be able to pay for this service. Everyone needs to pay into the pot to make health care affordable. Absolutely.
So true.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, well, about the debate in Congress, there is no debate in the Senate.
Right.
Because it's being done behind closed doors, and I think that's one of the most horrifying features of this whole thing, is that the Democratic senators can't even propose amendments and have things to say.
That's right.
And how many Republican amendments are contained in a
That's right.
Obamacare when this went through.
That's
There were
right.
Many
Many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
170 or 117.
100 and something. Yep.
Indeed, these were things that Republicans cried bloody murder
They
over,
did.
Yes.
in 2009
Yeah.
and 10, and yet these things are going on like crazy. Here
Hi,
he is.
Pat.
Oh.
Do you think he's denouncing Republican hypocrisy right now?
I don't think so.
A great deal of love and respect for someone. I'm not sure who that is.
Talking about his daughters.
He's talking about stuff. Well, good for him, and you know what? And I'm glad that he and his family are safe.
Yes.
By the way,
Which-
I called in yesterday.
Yes, and we have a card to present to you about that, which we will do shortly.
Absolutely, I thought that Paul Ryan was very much on target when he said that an attack on one of us is an attack on all of us, and I was very happy to hear him say
Yes.
that yesterday. I found that very moving, in fact. Now, here's my note. Dear Representative Tiberi, please help us get a clarification from Attorney General Jefferson Beauregard Sessions. How can he avoid giving answers to the Senate Intelligence Committee's questions without invoking executive privilege? I don't understand the legal basis for this, as indeed many senators didn't either. And if you could help your constituents get some answers to this pressing constitutional question, we would appreciate your assistance. So I also have the question, do you think that the Russia investigation is fake news? I keep asking him this. And also, furthermore, what would you do if the president were to call for the firing of the special counsel? This is a question that has not been answered by many Republicans. So, anyway, best of wishes, Nathan Wallace. And then I have a little thing I say, we're all individuals and not cookie cutters. Which
That's
I
right.
think everybody agrees with.
Yeah.
Okay, so here you go. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you. Thank you. Who's next?
Hi, I'm Debbie Cooper, and my message to Representative Tiberi is I'm especially concerned about doing what we can to preserve the quality of our environment. When I hear of all these recent rollbacks of regulations, I wonder how you feel, this is Representative Tiberi, about such initiatives when the lives of our children are at stake. We can temporarily revive the coal industry, but at what cost? I hope you'll stop to think before supporting all of these rollback initiatives. Sticking your head in the sand and expecting corporations to protect our environment is neither defensible nor sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Kathy Bell, and I always have trouble when I come in here and try and pick out one little thing. But I figured first, we don't have a decent environment, can't sustain life, then there's nothing anyway, so everything else is kind of moot. But so I just said, first and foremost, we must have an environment that can sustain life. Your lack of concern, as we've determined by your votes and lack of public comment, is glaring and appalling. We're keeping track and we continue to watch. And I suggested that perhaps he go back and read The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. It's a quick, easy read. It's got a timeless message. They might appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jenny Harris, and mine has to do with Pat Tiberi's blind support for big business. This is short, and I haven't forgotten this. You did not represent me when you sold my internet privacy for that $58,000 donation from Comcast, and I won't forget it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lori Crowther, and I'm upset about the war on the environment too, which I think our congressman supports. I think the worst thing he did was to help overturn a ban on inhumane methods of hunting of predators in Alaskan wildlife refuges. And I was especially upset on that one by allowing steel leg traps to be used for bear hunting, and now they can shoot wolves and their pups in their dens. So he's done a lot of cookie cutter type things, but going along with that to me was indefensible.
Thank you. Yep.
Hi, Tim.
Hello.
So I guess I am still stuck on this issue that Mr. Tiberi, you voted for the AHCA.
It's okay.
Even though it has turned out, again, as somebody said, to be called mean by our president, you still voted for it with your arm being twisted behind your back. And at least you went back and hid in your office and you didn't go to the Rose Garden and celebrate. I'll give you that one. But, you know, to support a bill that essentially strips women's rights to reproductive health care is totally reprehensible. And I would remind you that you have 3 daughters. And I would just ask you that you would ask what would they want as young women.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Mr. Bourgeois, and I have 3 homemade cookies or complaints to express to Rep. Tiberi. First, Rep. Tiberi needs to support expanding Medicare to all citizens, not cutting taxes and Medicaid coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, Rep. Tiberi needs to oppose selling arms to Saudi Arabia, which increases violence and terrorism in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
And lastly, Rep. Tiberi needs to support election reforms that better safeguard our elections from hacking by domestic or foreign sources.
Mm-hmm.
Preferably, paper ballots should be available for verification.
Thank you.
Hi, it's Tim, right?
Yeah.
Maureen Nelson from Worthington here. I'm still stuck on, a couple of weeks ago I read in the paper that comments from Pat Tiberi that he felt that his seat in District 12 was a safe seat, so he was going to remain there for the next election. I think that sentiment may come back to haunt him. My request of him is to listen to us, speak to us, and lead for us, not for polluters. Protect our environment, not for the wealthy, for the 98% of Americans, not for Trump, for truth, honesty, and transparency, and not for tax breaks, for the health and well-being of all of us.
Thank you. That was very poetic.
He's got a doctor's appointment.
Okay. All righty. Okay. Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
Yep.
Pleasure.
Yep. I had one more. I hate to go after Maureen because she was so poetic, but I'm concerned that the congressman doesn't speak out, act, or vote to protect our environment, our air, land, and water. And I'm concerned that the congressman appears to want to score political points more than he wants to solve problems for and help his constituents. Case in point, ACA repeal will harm tens of thousands of his Tiberi's constituents and millions of Americans. So add that there. But we also did have a card that we wanted to present to you. It's here. Has everyone had a chance to sign? I have not, so I will do that. And we just want to say that we are the attack that occurred yesterday was horrifying, and we stand united. And as Congressman Ryan said, an attack on one is an attack on all, and we want to make sure that everybody is safe and are sending our best wishes and thoughts and prayers, and also to you who are, must have felt the impact of this attack yesterday. So,
I want to make a suggestion about that too. I'm very pleased that game is going. The ball game is continuing today, and I want to make a suggestion. I think it would be kind of cool if the Republican and Democratic teams might mix it up and maybe not have it Democrats versus Republicans.
That's
Don't
cool.
you think? You know, as a show of like unity and common cause. Why does it have to be like the Democrats versus the Republicans? It would be kind of neat to see them collaborating on at least trying to beat each other, to try and win a game together. So
Good idea.
They're doing some kind of mixer tonight.
They are
Are
going to
they?
do that tonight?
Yeah.
Good deal.
That's good.
The other thing I wanted to say about this whole thing, I was just moved beyond belief to hear Mr. Ryan speaking in Congress, and Mrs. Pelosi as well, and the humanity that came through so loud and clear. This is what I've been scratching my head about for so long. We only hear such bitter animosity, and the opposition is evil and the enemy, and this is so destructive in our politics in this country. We aren't enemies of each other. We're just human beings, the same, all of us. We all bleed the same color, and we all want the best for our families and for our friends and for our lives.
Agreed.
And I'm happy to hear you say that. Of course we do. But where is this common humanity in the middle of all this acrimony and this bitterness and this almost hatred? I mean, that someone is aroused through political discourse to go and shoot a bunch of people playing ball? It's just something that is so difficult to believe. And yet it happens all over America. I mean, people are shooting people all the time. It's not a new issue. And but it's so wrong. And I'd love to see the sentiments that were expressed in Congress yesterday filter through the next weeks and months of their work together. I'd like to see more camaraderie between the members of Congress. I'd like to hear about it. I didn't know a bunch of them went to the gym in the morning. I didn't know that they're pals. I didn't know. We never hear that. We never see any of that. We just hear horrible stuff, awful stuff.
That's a good point.
And we can change that. They can change it for themselves. They can change this country.
Starting on health care.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm going to sign off here.